All right, we are recording. Welcome. This is the Becoming the Gift You Are open house Zoom call. This is May 2019, and we are opening. Yeah, I see someone dancing there. We are opening up enrollment for the next quarter starting in June. So these calls are experiments, and one of the ways that I have felt guided to co-create these spaces. And co-create can kind of get thrown around these days, but I really, really mean it. Is that when you register for these calls, when you show up for these calls, when you even just watch them, you are in some way plugging into our group and contributing to the creation of this space where you may come and others may come to experiment with who they are, to experience sharing your gift and also receiving others' gifts and see what we create together through that. So this is creating from mystery, what we do. It takes it I was going to say a tiny leap of faith. It's tiny in comparison to what ultimately is happening, but it can feel really big even just to come on a video call, especially if you don't do this very often. I know in the beginning it can be like, oh my gosh, what is this? But these acts of courage that we do, they build on each other. We get more experience with taking these kinds of leaps into who we are and trusting ourselves to be seen in a group, in a tribe, which is, from probably any of our baggage that we carry from the conditioning has to do with the tribe, some tribe or other. So I know I have never felt like I belonged in any tribe, and the answer started coming through in my personal ceremonies, maybe starting 10 years ago, but really clearly about 5 years ago, that, oh, it's not about fitting into a tribe. It's about creating one. And so for me to be creating one that's not for other people to fit into either, it's pretty freaky and exciting. So I would like to invite you all who are here on the live call to share your name, where you are, and what brought you here. And also, if you have any sense of it, what you are hoping to receive from being here today. And I want to offer that in another question as well. So these are all things that you could share with us if you're feeling called to introduce. What might happen here today, or what insight might you gain that could change everything in the way that you've been praying for, or whatever your version of praying is? So your name, where are you, how did you get here, how did you find this, and then what might we be talking about, what might you discover that could change everything in a way that you're praying for your highest and best.
Okay, I'll go.
I knew it. Hi, Tom.
Hey, hello all. Hello, Linda May. Let's see. Tom, also known as Spiraling Fox. That is my native name. I'm in the Detroit area. After that, it got foggy, but I actually thought this was the group call, not the open house call. But
Surprise.
Let's see. What am I likely to gain?
Well, so right there, you're in Becoming the Gift You Are. You're part of our founding membership.
That I am, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm connecting with right now the 55th gene key, and Sunday is my 55th birthday. And thank you, thank you. And it's about the beginning aspect of it is about healthy solitude and in touch with your body and allowing emotions and shifting out of a victim mentality to freedom.
Mm.
So that's kind of where the place that I'm vibrating at. That's about it for me.
Wonderful. Aho. So as Tom was speaking, I was noticing that my body was breathing deeper, and I have quite a bit of training, both in teaching the breath and in like myself breathing. So I want to say hello to this for those of you when you're witnessing someone else, is that, you know, if you're not trained in the breath, you might have a habit of holding your breath and then starting to feel kind of icky, and then the mind can jump in and be like, oh, this, I don't know if this is the right place or if I'm doing the right thing. But what I recognize is often happening is just that there's like, we're being stretched, you know, as we're witnessing another, and like the matches we may have with that person or the emotions that we're picking up on are simply just stretching our awareness, and the mind will clamp down on the breath to try to keep control of what makes sense to it. So allowing that deeper breath, and it might like make sound which can freak the mind out, and movement, like it might be you know, others may be able to perceive. Like when I was really stepping into this experiment to let myself breathe deeper in the presence of others, it was really common. It still happens to me. People will be like, what's wrong? Like, I'm just breathing. And we'll get into a little guidance of that when we ground in together too. All right. Who would like to introduce themselves next?
So I thought I'd go next, seeing I'm here, because that wonderful Tom over there informed me about this amazing startup. So I'm Linda May, born in Sierra Leone, West Africa, but I'm based in London. And I have been on my discovery of self journey for about 10 years, but got into human design just under 2 years ago, and finally started joining some groups and trying to find some like-minded people. I've got a lot of individual circuitry, so it's taken me some time to be ready to be able to engage and be able to add value to group scenarios. So I'm excited, and thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. So it sounds like you're a manifester. No?
I'm an MG, baby.
Oh, well, you got the circuitry. You've got some manifestor anatomy.
I do.
When you said informed, I was like,
Yeah.
So that's something. So some of the people here and some of the people watching this may not be from a human design or a Gene Keys perspective. So I do want to say that those are tools that weave through this space. And you don't have to know about human design and Gene Keys. You don't have to even want to know. Like when Tom was talking about the 55th Gene Key, then he shared some of the keynotes of it. And so in that way, we get to like know what the fuck he's talking about a little bit, even if we don't like have an instant knowing of what the 55th Gene Key is about. I don't. I mean, I have some things I understand about it, but yeah, I loved hearing about it. So thank you. Thank you, Linda May, for being here and all your, yes, you certainly are a manifesting generator. You just like juice. Who would like to go next? Or is there anyone else who would like to go next?
Shall I go?
Yeah.
No, I'm a bit wonky. I'm Helen. I'm from originally from England and now living in the west coast of Ireland for the last couple of years. And I got into human design as well a couple of years ago. And that's how I got into the group, really, through meeting Sari through that. And I had my Chiron return last month. And it just felt like the right time to get going, really, and find my tribe sort of thing to help me uncover my gift, I suppose. So here I am, looking forward to welcoming some new amazing souls on this journey.
Thank you. So as you're speaking, I'm just remembering this piece about this group and this movement is that we're creating a lineage. And Helen came seemingly out of nowhere from my perspective. And then I found out that she had been watching me for over a year.
Stalking.
She'd been stalking me. The best kind of stalking. And so what I feel called to share from this awareness of Helen even existing, and this space being an answer to something that she's been asking for her in her life, and then she came in and had the courage to join us, is that we have these. So in this time we're in, is a highly mutative individual. I'm also on the cross of individualism, Linda May. And so we're having these waves of awareness because we are actually moving into a time after 2027 that is the background frequency is shifting to be an individual frequency. So I believe that like my work and what we're doing here is actually preparing us for that, so that we know how to relate to one another and have and be in tribal connection, even if we are highly individual. And because each of us really is an individual, even if we don't have individual circuitry, so that we don't have like some background frequency or program telling us that we have to hang out together. That's going to go away. And yet we still are going to need and want those connections. So this time is making us, like, we're getting this massive scrub down, right? We're having all these initiations, like the astrology seems like it's intense forever. And, things that have worked in our lives in the past are not working anymore. And so we can really be grasping for resources, which is a tribal thing. And those of us who are willing to start stepping into owning this, all right, I surrender, I want to be who I am. I'm going to get the support I need to step into myself fully. I'm tired of getting dragged through the fiery swamp. Like, I'm coming willingly. We are each layer of that supporting. Each of us has like a ripple that goes out from us, and beings who are connected to us, who we are then, like, in us being seen, activating them to have that courage to take the next step for themselves. And so it's layers of teachers or guides, coaches, and it just goes on and on and on. And this is our moment in time. So we are under the umbrella of Inner Glowing Quantum Academy, and it for reals is quantum. That's what it is we are actually like rippling through the timeline in all directions. And I like Helen to me is just like such potent evidence. You're such potent evidence for me that this works and is happening. Thank you. Would anyone else like to introduce themselves?
I'll go.
Oh, hey, I see you must have gotten a link from Tom.
I did, and it took me until about 5 minutes ago to figure out that this was actually live. So.
Okay. And it's also recorded, and this is going to be shared publicly. So,
Okay. Awesome.
just so you know.
Thank you.
Wow, it's weird seeing another one of myself.
So my name is Laura, and I'm currently in Colorado. And Sari, I missed the first part. If you could just give me a little prompting of what you would like us to share, or some sort of.
Yeah. So how did you get here? And another question is, what might we be talking about, or what kind of insight might you be having on this call today that could shift everything for you in a way that you've been asking for in your life?
Oh man. For starters, I'm also part of the Interglowing Quantum Academy with Sari, and I have been working with her for, I guess, over a year now. I'm really grateful to be part of this group. What I'm kind of working on now that keeps coming up again and again, and I tend to be listening for, is I'm also right there on the line of like, I'm really stepping into who I am, and surrendering a lot, making room in my life, releasing things that aren't serving me anymore. And while I will probably never feel like I'm ready, I'm ready to take the next steps to be a better service to others. And this is what we've been working on the group, and what keeps coming up again and again in my life. So with that said, I'm just in such a place right now where it seems like everything that comes up, like there's just so much magic happening and so much powerful like information coming my way, and experiences I hear about through others that keep keep supporting the process that I'm going through right now. So I've kind of learned to like let go of all expectations. Of course, I still have them, but learning to let go of what I expect, from these calls or from anything. And like I never know. Every time that we talk on it, every time we have these calls, I have these like super profound moments of realization that I didn't have before, just like a little opening for my mind to take a break and some big truth to come through. So who knows, but I'm super open because it happens like every time.
Cool. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
So yeah, like I think a little later I'm gonna check in with you again, because I have this question for you, like what sparkles, and because sometimes, like, as we're welcoming in like all these things we really, really want, and then they start to show up, they light up in our system the things that aren't us and that really feel like shit. And that can be really why we keep like not getting support sometimes. It's like, if you're familiar with like detoxing, right? Like, you're actually detoxing as you become who you are. And so that's why, I mean, on my journey, I had this just like total rock bottom moment where I was like, oh my God, I need so much help. Like, so much more help than I think I can afford, that I think I can get or deserve, or that anybody wants to give me. And so like, this group is part of my service, because I've learned so much about that, like coming from a place of like thinking I was already at zero and finding out I could go lower. And it's a process, and it keeps happening. You know, every time we get another stretch of our soul coming into our bodies, literally, you know, embodying who we are, like, we're going to have these detox symptoms. And when we're in that zone, sometimes we can really like forget, we can really doubt ourselves, we can just want to quit it all and go back. Like, oh, it was so great when I thought I was at zero and then I went lower. So maybe I can just restore back to that point and just appreciate it from there. And it's like, we don't get to go back. Not like that. So I just really acknowledge you, Laura, because you have been showing up solid for a year. And, you know, you have your little like sprinting away moments, but even when you're leaving, you're staying. And just in what I just heard you say is evidence of that. Like, you've been having the experience. You're like, oh, I know, I feel kind of maybe heavy today. At least you sound a little bit like that. But I know, like, there's like a gift is in here, and it happens every time, right? Cool.
Thank you for that medicine.
Yeah. And we are each other's medicine. This is what you get to discover when you step into your service work, as you are just in this last week, is that you do get to discover that, you know, they're really just roles that we're playing with each other. It's not really a hierarchy. That when you are in service to others, like, you are, like, sometimes I'm like, I'm getting like so much more out of this from my perspective. And it's not that you really could measure it either way, right? But you know, these roles of teacher and student, these are archetypes that are evolving in our time right now, and this work we are doing is helping them evolve to the point where we may not even use those words anymore. If we do, like, they will seem to mean totally different things than what we have known them to be since antiquity. All right, so I'm going to check in with the time. It's about 12:30. We're almost a half hour into this. So there are some other things I want to do, but I want to give an opportunity for anybody else who would like to introduce themselves and say hey, and you can share something deeper, or you can just say your name and show your face, or you don't have to do that either. Is that Chazelle?
Hey there.
Hi.
I'm Chazelle, and my location is confidential, but I am safe and warm and fed. I got here through meeting Sari at a very potent pinnacle in my life last year. She just like came out of the ether. It was really profound. And she created the Inner Glowing Quantum Academy soon after, and here we are. that is all I want to share. I want to have more of the group.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, anyone else? All right, I'm going to move forward here. I drew us a card. And this is something I do to just check in with the energy sometimes, and also bypass my mind trying to control, or feeling, if I'm ever feeling pressure to like know something, I will draw a card from my Mother Peace deck, and it always, it's just always helpful. So what I drew is the Shaman of Swords. And this deck is, it can go all ways. So, you know, in the traditional shaped decks that are squares or rectangles, there's, you know, straight up and down, or there's up or there's down, upright or reverse. And this one, you know, it could be any combination of, there are descriptions for the 4 directions, and then, you know, if it's somewhere in between, I will look at the interpretations for both. So this says, and it is a goddess deck, so most of them are female, and it doesn't mean that doesn't apply to you if you're identifying as male. The shaman blows a wind from her mind and heart that travels up the spirit ladder to receive a message from the swallow-tailed kite. I got this card a lot when I was pregnant, and yeah, the Becoming the Gift You Are, the first round was created when I was in my 3rd trimester, and my daughter's now a year old. And I drew this one, let's see, I drew it to the left and a little bit reversed. And to the left it says, she holds back on what she knows to be true. And so with that, I want to invite you to soften your breath and just notice if there are any of those catches going on with your mind trying to control your breathing, to control the narrative. This is not, this is a neutral message. It doesn't mean that you're bad if you're holding back. And just to let yourself feel into, what do you know to be true? And as I read this, the reversed description, so it says, she's not able to say what she sees and feels. Perhaps she doesn't want to stir up someone's anger or risk a relationship ending. She will continue to be subject to someone else's domination. If she doesn't take the initiative wherever she can and communicate what she knows to be true. Yeah, so that's really potent for me personally. And so anywhere that you may have a match with this, even if it's just a little bit. I mean, what I recognize about this is that, you know, like for what I am creating, what we are creating here, is that, you know, sometimes you can look around and you're like, oh my gosh, I've come so far, and so many things are just like right there lined up, and this should be working in this way, you know, like there's like this one little nugget that's not coming through, and it tends to be the money. That it's like, oh gosh, why isn't this here yet? And I've called it the residue in my work with my coach Kendra Kunov over the last year. I'd be like, there's this residue, and you know, my mind could bypass it really easily, except for that, like maybe this little piece is still not coming through that seems to be like the total like plug in the dam. And this is also what I was speaking to of like when we've gone, you know, we thought we hit rock bottom and then we find out we can go even lower. And then we like wish we could go back. That's that domination. Those are the places where we tend to give our power away to an external authority. It's like, okay, I'll do whatever you say. I'll play along now. Like, this is way harder than I thought. And now, like, the way things were look easy. And maybe that's just a truth that we could all check in with for ourselves is like, was it? You know, like if you've ever been in a job, and maybe you are in one that you really hate and it tortures you, but you're not leaving it. And you've gotten all the signs to leave the job. Maybe you even had some opportunities, and you just are like clinging to that and loving to hate it. And it's like running your life. And then, you know, what happens in my life when I try to do that, and the periods of time that I can hold on get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, is that like something will blow up until life like makes me. So it's like recognizing like you're on your path no matter what you do, but you can either like learn how to be in grace with your path and take the signs the moment that they come to you, or the insights or the momentum in your body, the clarity, or, you know, you can keep fighting it and get dragged through a fiery swamp. Another way I say is like there's like the light rail or the hell train. And this is also for me where my bowing to earth practice came from, because I started to recognize life will bring me to my knees. And so I'll just get on my knees. Thank you. And as we step into this path of like saying, okay, I want to go willingly, I want to be in grace. It doesn't mean that we don't still like find ourselves getting dragged through some fiery swamps or on the hell train. Like we are spiraling upward. So it is, it's part of our learning still. I mean, that's a tool that humanity has been using for a long time, is like, I'm going to wait and wait and wait until like life like absolutely makes me make the change. So we're detoxing from it. And that's part of the beauty of this group and having this support in a safe container, is that we can step into those risks with other people who are also doing it, with, you know, people who are skilled with working with triggers and trauma and becoming, and are doing that themselves. Because when we do those out in public or in our families, like this phenomenon happens that I've started to call trigger table tennis. And then even that often won't be breaking out into trigger table tennis, because we have been so skilled at numbing and shutting down. And so it's just like nothing happens like in the relating part, but like inside we're like, and then eventually it does blow up. Okay, so I've really it's funny, like we're most of the way into the call and we haven't done any kind of grounding or meditation. I usually start with that, but this is the way we're rolling today. So at this point, I'd like to welcome you into a guided portion, and it'll just be short, but we are working with quantum reality, so it's really no space, no time. So anything can happen in this space. And sometimes it's like these acupuncture points of soul or spirit get poked in these. And so in the moment, or even in the hours after this happens, we could kind of just be in this like fog and not realize what happened. And then later on be like, oh, that is where my prayer was answered in that question. Like, what might happen or shift or insight might you receive from this call today that could shift everything for what you're asking for highest and best? So with that, I invite you to, for one thing, feel if this is a yes for you to receive. So that, you know, if your mind may be like, yeah, I want that, but then I'm moving forward into this and you haven't really like acknowledged the internal yes, or you might be here, you know, because of some external invitation or whatever it might be that's outside of yourself, that I invite you right now to ground into your yes or not. And if it is not, that is absolutely okay, and you are free to go. And this includes people on the replay. Just taking some breaths here to allow our space to shift and align. This is also sometimes where technology might either come through or cut out. And that it may just mean that, you know, if it's come in, like a lot of times we'll have like someone pop on the call and we were just like, we just moved something and then ding, you know, someone comes on. And then people can also pop off, or you might even have reception issues. And if you are having reception issues or getting kicked off, it doesn't necessarily mean that this space isn't for you, but it might mean that there's a way in which you could tend to something in yourself that may not be feeling safe or just needs a little more space and compassion. All right, here we go. So I invite you to either close your eyes or have a soft gaze. Ooh, notice right away for me, like, wow, my breath just got way more easy and full. So check in what that is for you. And we'll go around and take a sensory look at our circle here. Let your breath just be in a way that supports you and being open to however you perceive the other beings who are here with you right now. I went to psychic school and I really had to develop a trust in my seeing. And before that came through, it was just this kind of knowingness. And it may be colors that you notice. It might be that you open your eyes and you look at the Zoom call. And you can swipe left to look at the different people here too, by the way, if you're on the call live. But there's also the validation to look with your inner eye and your senses, your other senses. And what do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you know? What's clear? I learned something about clarity this week, which is that clarity can be a question. Clarity could actually be, I'm not clear. And then I just heard, but there's something. There's something. And then just like you gave yourself permission to have a yes and to stay here, to align with this call, I invite you to now invite the yes to actually connect with this group. Like we're holding hands in a circle. It feels really intimate. So you might have a personal boundary that doesn't feel like holding hands, and that's totally okay. And it might just be, I am standing in circle or sitting in circle. And in that way, I'm linked up. And then just let yourself feel that vibe rising. Here we go. It's looking to me like a teepee, like of like golden light raising from the foundation of our circle here. And one of the things that came through in my original vision, which was quite complete and terrifying for me at the time, and really exciting and beautiful, was that we have temples. We actually have sacred sites. And we're creating them right now. And there's a time when we will get to see them in manifested reality. And we get to go inside them and bless them up and be blessed up by them. That's what's coming through for me as I look at this and see it as a golden teepee. How cool. So let's work with this and go inside. And as you come to the threshold of this teepee, I'm here greeting you at the threshold, at the gateway, and greeting you. And this is a big teepee. And as you step inside, you may see some other beings there. You may sense some other beings. You may recognize them, you may not recognize them. You're welcome as you all come in. We'll sit in circle here. And now look around this circle. There might be animals here. There might be art or statues. It doesn't have to make sense. I know my mind's going, how does this work inside of a teepee? Are they inside of the circle? Are they outside of the circle? There should probably be a fire. I don't know if what's going on with the fire. Just let yourself see what you see, and it may not like all organize and make sense for how your mind thinks it should go. This is quantum. It's interdimensional. And so there are in all the places where we are on the planet, we are actually activating, we are called the constellation, by the way. We're activating these points, and there's the land where this teepee may be. And then there's the dimensional reality that overlays it. So there might be a parking lot in that place in one dimension. There may be a teepee there. There may be a burial site. There may be a big box store, there may be a home, there may be a meadow or a forest. And as we are all linking up here and taking in this space, we are seeing different aspects of that. And it is actually raising this land, this site up to merge these dimensions into the higher form and expression of this place on earth. And that includes where each of us are. So just by you looking and you being open to however you may perceive that maybe has never even occurred to you, that is happening. And this is the power of our witness. All right, so I want to invite you to start to ease in at your own pace to enough of kind of surfacing from the vision, although you can certainly keep a foot in there, to where you could write something down or type. And if you're like, oh fuck, I don't have anything to write with or whatever, like, that's okay. You could even just stay in there and review what you saw. It's like what I do when I'm too lazy to write down my dreams in the morning. I'm like, and then that happened, and that happened, and then I saw that, and then okay, again. So we'll take a couple more breaths here to just either focus on your remembering or to take some notes. And those of you on the replay, you could pause it. All right, so I'm going to open it up for some shares. You don't have to share, and also you may not get to share. And this goes on. You can also put it in the comments of the replay when I post it. You could send it to me directly if you want to have some private witness on it like that. So yeah, just open up if you're feeling the tap, 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 like on your shoulder, that this may be for you to share what you see. You can go ahead and come on.
Just a quick piece. When I was seeing the visualization, and then it seemed to be overtaken by seeing a web and spiders, or spider had woven this web. It seemed pretty predominant that was the message of the interconnectedness of everybody in the group.
Cool. What that means for me is actually that our master teacher for June is Allison Crow, who's one of my current coaches. I'm in her group called Soulful Success, and her profile and design is a 4-6. So, and I just heard her the other day say, I'm a weaver. That's cool. We're working with relating in June. And so her experience that she's leading us on has to do with relating with yourself in order to relate with other people. It's really cool. Thank you, Tom. Anybody else getting that tap, tap, tap? Spirit wants you to share. Or your people are like waiting to hear from you. It doesn't have to make sense.
Are you talking to me?
Sure. Bring it.
Oh.
Chazelle.
What was the question? I have a teething baby.
What do you see? What did you see in the TP, or what did you see in the meditation? I know you have a baby going on too, so what do you see right now for our group?
It was foggy, but you know, I saw a little flash, and it was from a dream I had years ago where I was at the Green Lake in a big island of Hawaii, and I was in a circle in the lake, like half submerged with these people, and we all had built our own thrones that were in the circle that we sat in, and there was a woman, and she was sweeping the earth, and she was dressed in all white, and she was all around us sweeping the earth, and we had these boxes, and they were filled with our memories, and we rearranged them in different configurations in this box, and then all of a sudden we started going into the lake. We just like started submerging deeper into the lake, and it was just totally dark, and that's all I remember. But it was a very profound time in my life, and that big full circling is happening right now with all sorts of things, and yeah, that's the flash I got.
Wow. My legs like majorly lit up with that story. Like,
you were going in.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
All right, I'll take one more. So if your guides are giving you a little nudge, come on into the lake.
I got a quick one to share.
Great.
Basically, I didn't get the vision, but I think I'm more clairaudience, like I hear things. So the words that I got was profound grounding. And it rhymes, which is cool.
That is cool.
So as always, my time with you is very grounding and centered and appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Profound grounding. Totally. That's really meaningful. And this is what is going on, is the earth is raising in frequency with or without us. And we have a great opportunity to rise with her and to receive that healing, and also to in turn heal the planet. Linda May, I saw you pop off of mute. Did you have something you wanted to share? I can't hear you.
I was going to say that clairaudience was in line with what I saw, which was light, and then that light electrifying the earth. But I don't have truth in the now, so I was going to wait. Thanks, Darcy.
Beautiful. Yeah, so I take it you're emotional in your design?
I sure am, and a 4/6.
Yeah, on the roof, I suspect.
Sorry. Never mind.
Yeah. So, so that's so cool for emotional people to see. Thank you for that. It was like, that was a real quick little wave you went through to have that clarity. To share. So it doesn't always have to be, you know, when it's like, oh, I'm waiting for my emotional authority. Like, I mean, that was just like a little thing, right? It's not like a huge life decision, but it also doesn't have to be forever, which is what the mind is usually afraid of, that then makes it like jump the gun or wait and wait and wait and wait past the moment of clarity. So cool. So we are here at an hour, so we're going to go a little bit over for some Q&A. I mean, I actually reserve the right to go a half hour over. This is the way I work. And usually, like, especially when I'm doing an hour call, which I never said this was an hour call, so I'm just putting that out there. But I started my journey as a yoga teacher, and 90 minutes just seems to be that that period of time. So I would like to share some logistical information with you. And I also want to open it up for questions you may have. So I think that's where I'm going to start, is if anybody has a question about what is this, what are we doing, what's the commitment level, how much is it, all of that, and whatever may be coming to mind for you, any concern you may have. Yeah, is there anything kind of arising with that invitation to ask a question? And for those of you who are in Becoming the Gift You Are, you might have a question that you had coming in that you might like to share.
Excuse me. I was just going to say, I was in a couple of the pre-quantum, I don't know what you called those.
Journeys.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we did Successful Flow and Sacred Service.
Right. And I had skipped out the last one to try something else and was waiting for this because I love the short courses, but I wanted to connect with a group that was going to really be longer than a month. You know, so that's what brought me into this original.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this incarnation of this offering is a monthly membership that opens up every 3 months. And for this enrollment, it's $144 US. There's also a scholarship available that you can apply for. In fact, you actually have to apply now to come into any of this. But on that application, you can check if you're requesting a scholarship, which the scholarship rate is $75 a month right now. And the initial experiment is a 9-month stretch. At the end of that 9 months, what I'm envisioning, or what keeps coming through, is that the students who have been on this journey, and this would be for December, January, and February, because I'm going through hardcore initiations that time of year and I'm not really fit for public consumption. So the part of what the participating in this actually coming in at this point is that you may be training to hold those months, to be the leader of one of those months, even to be the master teacher for that month, or to bring in a master teacher and hold the space for the group in that month. So this is a deeper opportunity to connect in, but it's also, like, in a way, it's a lighter way to come in. So the first incarnation of Becoming the Gift You Are was a deep 3-month program for 5 people that included one-on-one coaching with me and the group work. And we are in the process of building in a deeper group through this group. So we're kind of like, if we have these layers of the Quantum Academy happening, becoming the gift jar is kind of like a donut in the central layer. And the leaders from this group some of the leaders are coming through this layer to be in the center, which is the inner council. So we're creating our inner council right now as well. Did that bring up any questions? Like, what the fuck is she talking about? That's what my mind says, and like I go forward anyway, but I'm just being totally honest. Does that make sense? What, Tom?
I understood.
Okay. The thing about the inner council is, part of what I'm seeing there is that we are becoming the elders that we dream of. And so the school is going to have, it's kind of like, I don't know what it'd be, a board of trustees or something like that. So it's like, as you are investing in your own becoming in this evolving tribe, and as we are creating assets, like, you actually start to be vested in it and have a say in the bigger decisions that will come for us, like getting property for our golden teepee. And I am getting that there actually will be a really clear structure to this kind of thing, of like investing in the school and becoming a teacher in it. There is someone in our network who I am getting really clearly is gonna a projector who's gonna rock out that structure with me pretty soon. So anybody, I'd love to hear about, like, if you, and I can speak to it too if you're like, I'm not gonna come forward about that, but do you feel any kind of like fear in the edginess? Like, does it feel like, you know, even though it's like $144 a month and maybe you have that flowing through your space, maybe it's allotted to something else right now, but that it just feels like $1 million, and like, or even a time commitment might feel really scary, or coming in and being seen. It's like, what's going to happen in there with that heretic series? Any concerns, any fears coming up? And they don't have to do with me, but they may, and I totally invite that. It might be like, I don't know if I have what it takes to do this kind of work, is a possibility. And anyone in the academy right now that maybe resonates with having had that experience, would you like to share?
May I?
Yeah.
Having been working with you for quite some time, like, I've had all of those experiences at one point or another. I would like to share for anybody who is considering this or still like, what the hell's going on? I am, in human design, I'm a splenic being, so I just had this hit right away when Sari and I started working together. this is like everything that I've ever dreamed of. Like, used to lay in bed as a little girl dreaming of, but I didn't know yet exactly what that was going to look like. And when when we found each other, I can't even remember how it happened. Just one day I was working with Sari. I was in such a confused space. I knew that I wanted to head down this path, but I had no idea what that meant or what it was going to look like. The greatest gift that this has been is I now, and for quite some time, so it's stable, I have a container and support, a place where I am safe and supported to step into my role as a guide here. And as a person who's always dreamed of that, like, you can't really put a fucking price tag on that anyways, you know? I mean, you can't. But I've also struggled financially. And I mean, for me, the biggest thing is somebody taking advantage of me. To be honest, that was what kept me away from working with many people for a really long time. I just, I didn't feel that, like, sincerity from them, which is neither here nor there, but I felt that from you, and I've never been pushed or prodded, but I've been held responsible, like, to have to pay, on a certain time and at a certain date, a certain amount. And it's just been really great. Like, that's something that I went into, a fear that I had going into working with somebody, is the money part. And it's just, it's worked out really beautifully. And it always came when I needed it. Like, it just always would show up, it would just always show up when I needed it. And another, I don't want to talk forever, but another big thing for me was, if I realistically look at my life, there's no way that I'm ready to step into that role. I'm not good enough. I don't do this. I don't do that. Like, and a big thing that we've worked on is stories. And I would tell myself so many of them. And working in this group has allowed me to release so many of those stories that were holding me back from stepping into who I really am. So I just, like, when you asked, did anyone want to speak, I was about to, like, burst at the seams. I was like, I don't know what's going to come out, but this is really special to me, and I've felt every time that I was invited back to do it again that this is good. It feels really good in my body, and I've learned so much that I wouldn't even know where to begin. Definitely thankful for this, and encourage anyone who does feel like this resonates with them to at least maybe take a try at it, because there's such a gift in finding a group of people that support you. And Sari's such an awesome guide, and she is fierce and she is spicy, but she is also gentle and welcoming and opening and loving. And I've experienced that from everyone in the group as well. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, sweetie. So I do want to say, like, I heard you say that you've been held accountable for pain, and I just want to be totally clear. I refuse to be a debt collector. And I'm not going to chase and hound anyone. It's like, if you don't, like, you make your commitments. And so that's what that accountability is, is your own commitments.
And when you want to work with somebody, you want to, you want to be accountable to that. Like, it's taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to second the fierce and spicy. And occasionally quantum poop will come up.
I tend to talk about poop. I want to recognize you, Laura, that you've recently had a huge breakthrough. Can I talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
So since Laura started working with me a little over a year ago, and she was working one-on-one with me and then has done the groups as well, she's been like, I know I'm a guide, I gotta be a guide. And I've been inviting her to do it, inviting her to do it, inviting her to do it, and she's doing it. So she's actually like offering witness and time and space holding for others right now. She's stepped into it and she's done a couple already, right? So that is so huge. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And then also you have been a leader in these groups. And, you know, part of how I can make this as low of a price as it is because it is designed for people to rise and discover their own leadership in the group so that you all start supporting each other and learning how to ask for support and to receive that and to say yes or no if that's being asked of you and all that. And so Laura's been doing some videos in the group with other people and participating a lot. And so these are all these are all ways that we're co-creating in the group. Thank you, sweetheart. So I want to open up for one more share and then I'll land the spaceship for now.
May I go?
Yes.
I had quite a strong visual metaphor when you were explaining before the meditation. And it's, you know, when they used to have these masterpieces, and in order to prevent them being stolen and damaged and stuff, they would paint over the top of them. So they'd kind of hide them under another painting.
Mm.
And then obviously they would, when they found it, they would get some expert to come along and peel that paint away and chip away at it and gradually restore it to its original masterpiece. And yeah, that's what I kind of felt as we're all masterpieces underneath this layer of hiding behind something, which is still beautiful, but underneath is something even more amazing.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just a nice metaphor. And obviously, once you start chipping the paint away, it looks a bit messy and can look worse. And you can't go back, like you said.
Mm.
You have to keep going in order to restore to its original beauty.
Wow, thank you, Helen. What a gift that is. And it's a recognition for me too, so thank you for that. Like I'm feeling that in my body and remembering that. So what came with this vision of at the time I was just like, it's a school, it's a school, it's a school. And it's also been called a mystery school, and presently it's called Inner Glowing Quantum Academy. But I simply had a role, and my role is to start it and to recognize the founders and to help them come up to speed with who they are, which feels like a match to that restoring metaphor. And I'm doing that myself at the same time. yeah, and wow, it's just such a complete metaphor. It's like, yeah, the messiness, and also that concern that like we're fucking up the original, you know?
Yeah, there's a risk, isn't there? There's the risk of, you've got to take that risk, and once you start it, that's it.
Yeah, and this thing that we are doing, there aren't any experts in it. That's what's happening is like we no longer can have experts in the way we have in the past. So we have to step into doing it, and it's really trusting that the gift that we are, the masterpiece we are, is, will survive the restoration process. And through that, we actually become the masters of ourselves. And in that process, we are also able to help others go through that process for who they are without imposing, like, oh, this is how you have to do it. But we get to see like these markers on the journey. And that is actually what the sequence of initiation is about. Because the nature of initiation is that it's something new. It's a mutation. We don't know what it is, but we can know aspects of what happens. For one thing, we know that it's new. So, as our mind's trying to control things and like piece something together from the past, we can know, well, this is going to actually surprise or shock us. It's new. And we can understand the elements of shock. We can know it's coming too, because we know that change is the only constant, right? And we are in a time of great change. And we are asking for great changes. We are praying for great changes. So we can know, like, we're going to be shocked as those prayers are being answered. And then the next part in the sequence is integration. It's like, whoa, like our whole world just like blew up. And then we're starting to make sense. And I've been finding lately that actually integration, I think it's more that like messy phase for me than shock. I've always kind of assumed that shock was the messy phase. And it can be, but there's this time that happens after shock when everything's stirred up and you're just like trying to like pick up the pieces or take out the garbage or you're laying a new foundation that can be really, really challenging. But at least to know that that's coming, right? And then the third part of the sequence is prepare. So this is when we start to get our footing and we're like, okay, like I survived that. I made it. And we're actually in a prepare month right now on a collective level. These can happen in our own lives, like just whenever they want, especially if you have a channel like I do, which is 2551. It's shock and love of all things and initiation. Prepare is about like, we can go, wow, okay, like that happened. And then this happened. And this is what I've come to understand. It's this kind of like harvesting of the shift and the change and the new normal. And then what did we learn from that we can put in place in our lives? It might be tools that we discover. It might be strategies or things to build. Who knows? It might just be a mantra or a mindset. But we can start to apply those to prepare, because the next thing is going to be shock again. And we're coming into June as a shock month with the summer solstice. These are these big shifts we get on a collective level. Okay, so just about 6 minutes left here for my taking the license to go 90 minutes with these calls. And so is there anything else? Oh, Laura, I love seeing you. You in the sunshine. Would you say something just so your screen will come up for the recording?
Yes. Is it up? Hi. Look how beautiful. Can you see it? Beautiful.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet. Well, I said I was going to ask Laura what sparkles, and there it is.
Everything.
That feels like a good place to complete. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to those of you who registered and also came live. Thank you for watching this. And there's gonna be a link to apply for the Quantum Academy, and you don't have to know if that means that you're going to be in it or not. I recently got an intuitive hit to apply for something that my mind then was like, well, then I'd have to be in it, and then and it was like, no, that was just like I was just supposed to apply because of what it brought up for me. That might be the case, but ultimately, I invite you to work with this principle of becoming a gift, which is need to know basis with spirit. So feeling into what you do know is true. If it is, my next step is applying or reaching out to me or connecting with someone who's in the academy, maybe who invited you in, or maybe it's watching one of my videos and being like, who is this chick anyway? So to feel into what is your clarity, what is your next step from this call? What do you know? And also maybe what don't you know? And letting that be. All right, I love you. See you soon.